town of Riverdale wasn't used to chaos. It was the kind of place where people locked their doors more out of habit than fear, and the police station at the corner of Maple Street looked more like a library than a fortress. But on that storm-soaked night, the peace shattered. Inside the station, only 7 officers worked the late shift. Sergeant Lewis reviewed reports at his desk. Detective Ramirez, sharp-eyed and stubborn, was writing notes on a drug case. 2 rookies, barely 6 months into the job, were nodding off over coffee. The night seemed routine until the lights flickered. At first, no one thought much of it. Storms always toyed with the power, but then through the security cameras they saw something. A convoy of black SUVs rolled into town. No headlights, no license plates. Sergeant Lewis squinted at the screen. Something's not right. Seconds later, the station's power cut out. Total darkness swallowed the building. Only the sound of rain hammering the roof remained. Then came the first gunshot. Glass shattered as bullets tore into the windows. Officers hit the floor, ducking behind desks. The rookies panicked, but Ramirez grabbed one by the collar. "Get your head down if you want to live." Through the smoke and chaos, shadows poured inside. The Black Dragons. A ruthless gang feared across the state. They weren't there for money. They weren't there for revenge. They were there for one man, Marco Ironfist Delgado, their leader. He sat in the holding cell at the back of the station, calm and quiet. He'd warned the police during his arrest, "You won't hold me long, they'll come for me." And now they have. The criminals swept through the station with military precision. Flashbangs blinded the officers. Smoke grenades choked the air. Every corner of the small precinct became a war zone. Sergeant Lewis barked orders through the radio. "Hold your positions, protect the cells." But the gang had already breached the hallway. Ramirez, refusing to retreat, fired back with deadly accuracy. His bullets dropped 2 masked men before they could push forward. His heart pounded, but he kept moving, ducking behind walls, reloading, and striking from the shadows. Still, the Black Dragons were relentless. Their leader mattered more than life itself. In the holding area, Delgado stood as his men blasted the lock open. Chains snapped, metal bent, and within seconds, he was free. His smirk was the only light in the smoke-filled room. "Told you," he said, brushing dust from his jacket. "No cage can hold me." But Detective Ramirez wasn't ready to let him go. As the gang dragged Delgado toward the exit, Ramirez flanked them through a side hallway. Alone, outgunned, he fired round after round, hitting their escape van's driver before the engine could roar to life. The SUV swerved into a lamppost, useless. The station echoed with chaos, officers yelling, criminals shouting, gunfire rattling against the walls. Rain poured harder outside, turning the streets into rivers of black water. Ramirez cornered Delgado in the alley behind the station. Just him, the gang leader, and 3 armed bodyguards. "You're not leaving, Delgado," Ramirez growled, his pistol steady despite the tremor in his hands. Delgado only laughed. "You think one man can stop an army?" The standoff lasted seconds but felt like hours. The bodyguards raised their rifles. Ramirez fired first. One dropped, then another, but the third managed to fire back, grazing Ramirez's shoulder and sending him sprawling against the brick wall. Delgado stepped forward, towering over him. "Courage," he said, pressing his boot against Ramirez's chest. "But courage gets you killed." Just as Delgado raised his gun, sirens wailed in the distance. Reinforcements, the dragons had run out of time. Cursing under his breath, Delgado ordered his men to retreat. They dragged him into the storm, disappearing into the maze of Riverdale's backstreets. Ramirez, bleeding but alive, had cost them their victory. They escaped the station, yes, but without their van, without their supplies, and leaving behind enough evidence to hunt them down. Days later, police tracked the gang to an abandoned warehouse at the edge of the county. This time, the law came prepared. SWAT teams, helicopters, and armored vehicles. The dragons were surrounded. the raid was swift and merciless. Delgado was dragged out in handcuffs once again, his empire in ruins. He glared at Ramirez as they locked him inside the transport van. "This isn't over," he hissed. Ramirez, still nursing his wound, simply replied, "It is for tonight." The raid on the Riverdale police station became a story officers told for years. A night where criminals dared to strike at the very heart of law and order and nearly succeeded. The bullet holes in the walls remained as scars, a reminder of the thin line between safety and chaos. And though Delgado was behind bars, his warning echoed in Ramirez's mind. "You think you've won, but the war is just beginning." Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Vault of Crimes for more crime stories.